Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of It's Needed, the podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement and the community. It's your boy, Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined officially in the studio today by Mr. Oh No, it is the Popo. What's up, my brother?
In person, living the Cali life.
That best life, living your best life.
I don't know if it's the best life. We're going to talk about Cali here in a minute. We're going to talk about
AJ is actually in Cali right now. He's living his best life. As you guys can see, we actually got the official It's Needed gear right now.
You see
it? My chest is a little... I didn't do my push-ups today, so it's not looking as, swole as it can be.
Yeah.
AJ suited and booted. We even got the Savage behind the scenes, got his It's Needed hat on and his... Oh, no, you just made me feel some type of way about that.
You get that on camera, Billy? You get that?
You just made... Oh, Billy... Now, Billy's been doing his... what's it called? CrossFit. So, Billy's on another level right now.
Billy ain't playing?
Billy's like, do you even lift, bro?
Yeah. He's like,
do you even lift?
So, you chest popping too?
Hey man, so AJ man, thanks for coming out to Cali, man. This is an official business trip.
Oh yeah.
Man, tell us, man, how was your trip to Cali?
First off, it's a 5-hour flight. All right.
Okay.
So I don't know why, but we booked a 4 a.m. flight. So I'm sorry, no, we booked a 5:30 a.m. flight. Okay. So we had to be up at like 4 in the morning.
That was your first mistake.
I couldn't sleep on the plane. I hate airports, but we got here. And,
did y'all have some turbulence?
Just a little bit. I was trying to sleep the whole time, but I really can't sleep on a plane because I'm not the smallest guy in the world. But yeah, it wasn't too bad,
bro. That turbulence. So what do they call when you hit like a pocket and like the plane just drops? What's that called?
Oh yeah, see, I don't like that.
Dog,
yeah.
I've had that happen like once before, bro, where it felt like just the engine's cut off and you just like fall for a second.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, I almost passed out when that happened. I felt like I was on an episode of Manifest, bro, and I just disappeared.
See, I panicked. I just started grabbing people. Like, hey, you going first, man. Like,
yeah. So
save myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna use you as my flotation device or whatever. Speaking of flotation device, we all went to dinner last night, and AJ was telling me about his experience when he was doing snorkeling. My man blew himself up like the Michelin Man and couldn't swim in the ocean.
I can't swim, y'all. I'm gonna put it out there. I can't swim. All right. So if you jump in water around me,
he can't swim. No stereotypes, though. No stereotypes.
Yeah.
Oh man. So tell me, you had an experience when you guys got off the airplane and you guys started driving, man. Tell me what that experience was like.
Okay, so we flew into LAX. Okay, busy airport. I've never been to LAX before. So I'm like, all right, it ain't bad. There's a shuttle bus that you have to get on in order to rent a car.
Okay,
we're gonna rent a car. We in Cali. We gonna see some stuff, do some stuff.
Yeah.
All right, me and the wife, or the wife and I, should I say? So we get on this shuttle bus and we driving. And I'm like, man, like this shuttle bus driver is like aggressive. And I've been around the world, all right? Like I've rode in the car in like third world countries, all right? And for me to think this, I'm like, all right, like, hey, like either she's a really good driver or something is about to happen. Well, something happened, all right? We stop at this red light. The light turns green. I lie to you not. The shuttle bus crashes into a truck.
Are you serious?
Hey, crashes into a truck. So, my neck hurt. No,
Hey, and see, this is why insurance fraud investigators exist. For people like AJ, he came into my house today with a neck brace on and said he's getting his lawsuit started against the shuttle.
I need free rentals for life, man.
So AJ tried to tell me that, California can't drive. California drivers can't drive.
They can't.
No, I think it's the opposite. Proof. I think that everybody else that comes into California can't drive. You guys just can't keep up, man. This is NASCAR out here.
Well,
baby.
They was both Cali drivers. Like one was like a worker, like a city employee. So I don't know what was going on.
No, your shuttle bus driver just moved here from Columbus, Ohio. So I'm just saying.
I tell you what though, she was a savage. She was like, "Don't worry, y'all, we gonna make this quick." She got out, said something to the dude, and we was on the road.
So what was everybody's reaction like when you guys were on that shuttle?
It was like, "Oh my goodness, we just got into an accident." And I'm like, yeah, y'all take pictures of this real quick. Like, I'm rolling around the ground. I
probably would have been laughing. Like, she probably would have felt bad. Like, dang, they just made fun of me right
And then
now.
I was like, well, somebody got to pull their phone out. Like, I'll be the first one. So
was
I
it
started
her
recording
fault?
it. Bruh, yes. Like, and then she was like, well, it wasn't mine. Like, they merged into me. I'm like,
don't try to put this on them.
No, they didn't. Like, for a free rental, they did. But
that's like when I drive with my wife, and my wife, she always be like, what are you doing? Why are you driving so crazy? I'm like, no, they just driving crazy. And she be like, no, it's your fault. I'm like, baby, no, they driving crazy. I'm the best driver out here.
I'm a whipper. But something we did notice is no matter where we are at here, you can see mountains.
Everywhere. So AJ got here. We met up at Starbucks yesterday.
Yeah.
And one of the first things he told me was like, hey, dog, like I actually saw some real mountains. I was like, mountains. Yeah, bro, what you think? Like, Not realizing that you guys don't have mountains like that in Columbus, right?
we don't have mountains. So I'll ask you this because we asked a couple other people who live here. Do you still look at the mountains, or are they just there now?
They just kind of there. We looked at them recently because they're snowing them. Usually there's not snowing them like that.
Yeah. So
but we just kind of just like, they just there.
Yeah. So the crazy part about that is a majority of people we talked to said the same thing. They're like, well, they're just mountains. We're used to it. And it made me think, like, people who are used to like beautiful things like that, like, I don't want to say they take it for granted, but they just kind of like, it just becomes normal. You know what I mean?
We take
like,
it for granted.
Yeah, so
I remember the first time I went to Texas and how flat it was. Like, I had always heard people say, Texas is flat.
Right.
I didn't realize it until I flew in, and I'm looking around like, you can't see nothing, like, because I'm used to seeing mountains.
Yeah.
I'm like, where y'all mountains at?
Ain't no
they're
mountains.
like, no, there really ain't no mountains around here.
Ain't no mountains.
Man, is that my thing going off like that?
Yep.
Y'all
hear vibrate.
Speaking of blowing up. Speaking of blowing up.
Introducing Ryan K. Tillman.
Hey, call me Mr. K.
Mr. K.
Me and Billy, we just hit a milestone today on social media. Oh, we at 10.4 right now?
10.4.
10.4
They got the
thousand
swipe up.
followers. Hey, that means we are now got access to the swipe up feature. So we coming for you, Mr. Oh No, it's a Popo. He got 54,000 followers. But if you listen to this podcast or you watch our YouTube videos, we trying to surpass AJ in our followers.
So unfollow them and follow me is what he's saying. Y'all, real good.
You know what was so funny? So me and Billy were talking about it, and it was like, so the reason actually we kind of had a spike is because I actually did a dancing video to show the world that I am officially a better dancer than Oh No, it's a Popo.
Never.
I'll talk about that here in a second. So I did this video. It was very sporadic, spur of the moment at my school the other day. My principal was filming. She's legit. I have one of the best principals ever at the school I work at. But anyways, we posted it. The thing went viral. But it was funny. So like we started getting all these followers.
Yeah. And
like we were getting them like, what would you say, Billy? Like 30, 40, like every couple minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so right when we almost got to 10,000, like it like kind of slowed down. Yeah. And it was funny. I actually saw somebody like we were at like 9996 or 9997. And then it went down to like 9996. I was like, oh no. Yeah. I was like, who just unfollowed us right now?
I'm gonna refollow me.
I'm gonna find out who just unfollowed us right now. But yeah, man, so we did go to 10,000 followers. The reason that's so cool is not because I like to have a lot of followers, and I mentioned this on my story earlier, and I'm sure, AJ, you can agree to this. The reason it's so cool is because that just means that's how many more people are seeing the message that we're putting out and the work we're trying to do. Yep. We really do. I mean, the work that we're doing has been phenomenal, man. This has just been a phenomenal experience. The reason AJ is out here is not only to record the podcast, but this is actually really a business trip. We got a lot going on, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on this podcast, but we have a lot going on. And so there are big things coming from the It's Needed crew over here. That includes me, AJ, and my boys, the Savage behind the mic.
Big moves, big
moves. So we're going to be doing some playing basketball today with my boy, Trick Shot Cop.
He about to show us all the way up.
Hey,
the way up.
I can't take my dignity out, bro. I'm about to go out there and ball out, even though I'm not no baller.
Well, if I lose, it's just because I'm in Cali and like I'm not used to the weather out here.
I got my bronze on today. Oh, it's fresh out the box.
Oh,
my shoe game was a little killing AJ's, but
what? Oh, actually, I had somebody. So for those of you who didn't see it, we wore the same shoes yesterday. We both had on the Concord
and we did not script that, I promise you.
We didn't. We walked into Starbucks and I was like, oh, boom, yep, fresh J's on the feet. But Ryan ties his J's.
No, don't say that because my wife, she already gets on me about that.
Listen, I ain't never met somebody who ties their Jordans. Like he tied them like he about to go sprinting. All right, so I walk in, I'm like, oh, we got some, okay, I see, but what? Is that a knot? So we take a picture and we're like, well, who rocks them better? And I don't know if I showed you this or not, but somebody said, you do. I'm not sure who ties their Jordans.
So whoever said that, we're going to have a conversation.
Shout out.
You just don't know my fashion sense yet.
Yeah,
we'll have a fashion jump off one of these.
But
days.
you ready? I mean, something pop off, you out,
man. Hey, whatever, man. Moving on. I was going somewhere earlier with what I was saying about the. Oh yeah, so the video that went viral.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened is I'm actually doing this lip sync challenge at my school next week. So I signed up. My students don't know yet, but if they listen to this podcast, they'll know now.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be a special guest judge, and I'm going to be a special guest performance.
Boom.
I'm not going to tell you how the song I'm doing.
Look
yet.
at him.
So anyways, our students were doing like a little advertisement during lunchtime to, get people to come to the lip sync battle. And so they were just playing random songs, in the middle of the quad. And so they were like, hey, it's open mic. If you want to come up here and perform, do your thing. So I'm over there standing with my principals and stuff. We just chilling. And they played my boy Montel Jordan. I was like, this is how we do
come on.
it. So naturally, just the rhythm just start coming out in me just out of nowhere. Yeah. So I went out there, got the mic. My principal was like, you gonna go do it? I was like, yeah, I'll go do it. So I didn't realize she was behind me the whole time. So she's filming me. And it was funny because when I was doing it, I felt like I was like so out of rhythm.
Yeah.
Like I felt like, oh dang, I'm just making a fool of myself. Yeah. And then I went back and looked at the video. I was like, your brother got some. Watch out. I was like, send this to Ono Sapopo so he knows your boy got more rhythm than he do.
Yeah, I give it to you.
So that's where that came from. That video was fun. If you guys see that video, if you guys want to see that video, it's on our Instagram page, Breaking Barriers United. AJ has to repost it on his.
Oh, he viral. Oh, I posted it. It's shared. It's shared.
So we shared. So we solid. But yeah, that's what that was about, man. So it's been everything has been great, guys. Everything has been great. Presentations. You did a presentation recently at one of your schools, right?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went good. Very receptive. We actually spoke to the quote unquote most troubled kids in the school, and it was great. We talked about their future, what the path to their future and their goals is going to look like, and we hooked them up.
That's tight.
And the cool part about like doing these presentations, and I'm sure you feel the same way, is for as much as we leave on the stage and for as much as we pour into the students, we walk away with something as well.
Oh, 100%. I think every time I get on that stage and I present, because I actually did 3 presentations yesterday at A.B. Miller High School. Just a little son. Yeah. A.B. Miller. Shout out to A.B. Miller for having me. Boom. It was a phenomenal day. The topic was bullying, and I'll actually get into that more in a little bit because we're actually going to talk about that subject. But yeah, it was cool, man. That bullying presentation was legit. I really feel, man, like I love police work. I feel that God has called me to do police work. But it's a different feeling I get when I'm actually in front of people, speaking to them. I really just feel like I'm actually walking in what my destiny was. Yep. And so it's a weird feeling. Just taking a quick transition really quick. So we always do a quick moment. I don't want to call it a moment of silence, but a remembrance of the fallen officers that have lost their lives recently in the line of duty. Again, I can't remember what we were at since the last recording of the podcast, but as of today, I looked it up. We're at 19, unfortunately. So that number continues to go up, every other day at least. I do want to do a special remembrance for Officer O'Laughlin. So Officer O'Laughlin, he works at a local department here in the area that I live. He was actually driving in the city that I patrol. I wasn't actually working, but he was actually driving through the same city that I work in. And he was actually struck by a drunk driver last weekend, coming home from work, I believe. I was either coming home from work or coming home from his girlfriend's house. But essentially, he was driving southbound. There was a drunk driver that was driving westbound and essentially hit him. Dang, is that my thing? Hold on, let me mute this. All right, we good now. He was driving westbound and was struck by a drunk driver. Or the drunk driver was driving westbound, I should say. And as Officer O'Laughlin was going southbound through the light, got hit by the car, hit him dead on in the driver's seat, and he was dead on the scene. So, and even though that number 19 doesn't reflect Officer O'Loughlin's death because he didn't die in the line of duty, but it's still as tragic, man. He's coming home late at night. He's probably working. And so that those things are just rough, man. Those situations, and they're very humbling and remind you that not even just in this profession in general, but if we leave our house today and just go driving, that somebody can do that. And so if you guys, or if you drink and you guys go out, I encourage you guys, there's so many different methods now to get home without having to drive. Uber, Lyft, whatever it may be, use it. Call a friend. They've made it so easy now to get a ride home. If you drink that, it's easy. You know what I mean? It's not worth the life of somebody else. I couldn't imagine if my wife and kids were struck by a drunk driver coming home and I lost them.
Absolutely. And you have to live with that. God forbid you get in a car and you risk it and you hurt somebody or, kill somebody. You have to live with that. Like, you have to live with that in jail for the rest of your life with that on your conscience.
100%.
Make better. Listen, Uber, Lyft, there's so many apps and programs out there where you could get home safe.
We're gonna have to see if we can get Lyft or Uber as a sponsor of the podcast.
Oh yeah, I know y'all heard that.
To support drunk drivers. If you guys believe in that, we should see if we can get them as a sponsor.
Oh, we gotta make that
and
happen.
we can make a portion of that to go towards the victims of drunk drivers or something. Hey, that's a good idea, man.
Hey, you heard it here first.
Hey, you guys hear it here first. If you guys believe in that, man, let's make that happen. Hey, you had another current event that you want to moving on. You had another current event about one of the headlines in the media right now.
Yeah, so I'll be completely upfront and transparent. I haven't been following the case, but what I do know about the case is sickening, and it's the Jesse Smollett.
Okay,
or Smollett. I don't know even how to say his last name, but basically he staged this attack, and he said it was racially related, and come to find out, he staged the whole thing. It was fake. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is when things like this happen, it takes away the validity of when actual racist events occur, right? Like here this guy is, he's staging this event. He's saying it was racially motivated for who knows why. Maybe he wanted some attention. Maybe he wanted some more followers. Maybe he wanted to hit the K like my man Ryan did, right?
I did it the right way, just so y'all know.
Right way. But in all actuality, like when you do things like that and you're exposed, it takes away the validity of when something racist actually happens, right? So now who's to say that, 3 months from now, someone is actually attacked and it is racially motivated? Now people are going to look at that and they're not going to believe it because this guy wants to stage an attack.
I agree 100%. I think we've talked about this before on the podcast, but you're so right, man. Like, and that's what's unfortunate is because people do things for the wrong reasons nowadays.
Yeah.
They do things because they want a good following. They do things because they want the fame, the fortune. They sell their souls to the devil. They join the Illuminati like we did today, huh, Billy? We joined the Illuminati because we got the K. But when they do things like that, it really does, it takes away from the actual real issues that exist.
Yes.
So if something like you said is racially motivated, it's harder to really determine if this is racially motivated because was this done for the right reasons or was this done for the wrong reasons? And so and this is what was the worst part about that whole situation is when that whole case initially came out. Yeah. With social media the way it is now, that thing went crazy. Oh man. Like people were like, pray for such and such. What's his name?
Jesse Smollett.
Yeah. They were like, pray for Jesse, this and that. And you got people, I wouldn't be surprised if people were trying to start a GoFundMe page for this dude. For sure. Just because of the society we live in. And so it gets out there like that. Now you got everybody believing that, this dude was, harassed because of his race or sexuality or whatever it may be. Right. And now come to find out on the back end, it was all a hoax. Yeah. And, quite honestly, think about how fast stuff gets out. Yeah. Like that got out super, super fast. Kind of the same with police work. We do something in the line of duty and, we always talk about people don't get the whole side of the story. That's it. They put out this, one-sided thing. And then when the truth does come out, it is so much harder to convey the truth. Yes. Because the damage has already been done.
You gotta play catch up.
It's hard, man. It's hard. And
so that just goes to show you, like, before you get so emotionally invested in these situations, like make sure you do your research. Give it time. Give it time. The truth will come, right? Like the truth will always prevail and show its head in the long run. Give it time.
I agree. And I want to move on and talk about the purpose of this podcast today is I really want to talk to you guys about the It's Needed conference. Oh. I did say it's needed. Oh, I did say it's needed.
The It's Needed conference.
The conference.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about this conference. Billy, you want to talk about this conference?
Billy, you want to talk about the conference?
I think Billy wants to talk about the conference. He's shaking his
head, y'all.
I want to talk about the conference. I think it shows by our gear that we wearing that we want to talk about the conference today. So we're going to talk about the conference. So I honestly, so one thing about me is when I started Breaking Barriers United, I've told you this before, AJ, and I've told all of our listeners that I truly believe that this was divine. This was something from God. Like God just put this vision on my heart for this organization called Breaking Barriers United, and things just kind of happened just naturally. Yeah. Like we have really not encountered any type of resistance since we started this movement. And so probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I was driving on the 60 freeway. And I had this thought that just came in my mind. I was like, why don't we do a conference for what it is that we're doing? And so I bounced that idea off a few people, bounced it off of Billy, bounced it off of AJ, kind of got some, affirmation, like this is what we need to do. And I didn't know what it looked like. And so after talking to AJ, talking to a few people, we came up with this idea of continuing what we do on this podcast, but making it go big.
Yeah.
And kind of, and it's sponsored by Breaking Barriers United, just like the podcast is. But what this conference is we really are going to be bringing law enforcement, community members, police officers, educators, and city government officials together to talk about a lot of the issues that plague every city.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts on this conference, AJ? And, why do you think it's so important? Why do you think it's needed?
It's needed. I mean, the name couldn't be more fitting. I can't tell you how many times someone has messaged me or commented on one of my videos via social media and said, hey, I appreciate what you're doing in the community, but you could do this, but you could do that. This is exactly that. This is that next step to reach more people, right? Like you said, like we're excited, like BBU got the 10K, and it's not because, we like followers or because we like attention. It's because we know now 10,000 people are getting that message that's needed, right? And this conference is exactly that. Like this is the start of something major, right? Like this is the boots on the ground, us sitting down with city officials, law enforcement officers, right? People who may never listen to a podcast or may not even have a smartphone, but have the power of influence. And we could teach them, hey, look, like this is what we're doing. And this is why it's working. This is why we believe it's working. And like you said, like we've prayed about this, right? Mm-hmm. And we've got nothing but signs. We're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing. So who are we not to be obedient?
Man, 100%. And one of the coolest things about this conference is AJ and I get hit up all the time on Instagram about people that want to join the movement that we're doing.
Yeah.
This is going to be your opportunity to join our movement in one capacity, whether it's you're just an attendee, you just come to get fed, a lot of the good things that's going on, whether you want to be an instructor. So this is kind of the run of show. The way the conference is going to go is it's August 1st.
Yep.
So mark this on your calendar. It's August 1st. It's going to be from, I believe, 8:30 to 4 p.m. When you guys come, we are going to have, I'm sitting with the one and only host of the conference. So AJ, we have made AJ the host of the conference, not because he looks, he don't look better than me, but he's a close second. But we made AJ the host of the conference. And so AJ is going to open this conference up. I'll probably go on and basically tell you guys a little bit more of our organization and everything. But we have a gentleman by the name of Gordon Graham. And if you are in law enforcement, you have probably heard the name Gordon Graham before. Mm-hmm. Gordon Graham is an expert in risk management. He's the founder of LexiPol, which is a police and first responder, policy company. But the dude is phenomenal. And not only is Gordon a friend, not only is Gordon just a mentor of mine, he's a friend of mine, a personal friend of mine. And when I told Gordon about this conference, he just jumped all over it. And he's coming out and he's going to give you guys so many jewels of why the work that Breaking Barriers United, it's needed, oh no, it's a public, why it matters so much. One thing he told me when I first started getting going in this, this venture is he said, Ryan, you need to get to know your community before you have to know them.
Oh, I like that.
And that's what risk management is.
I like that.
What we're doing right now is we're getting to know all members of our community before we have to know them.
Yeah.
Because there's times, unfortunately, in Ferguson, we all saw the aftermath of what happens when you don't know your community.
Yeah.
And so Gordon's going to be there to open the morning up. Then we're going to go out to breakout sessions. And so there will be breakout sessions in the morning. Some of the breakout sessions are going to include active shooter. We'll have risk management, organizational culture, restorative practices, anti-bullying, substance abuse amongst adolescents, and mental health. So you'll be able to choose to go to one of those breakout sessions. And then we're going to have lunch. So we're actually hosting lunch. It's going to actually be at the Riverside Convention Center. I should have probably threw that in there.
It's not going to be at the Asian place.
So you're going to bring a Panda Inn? You're going to bring a Panda Inn like that? Panda Inn is bomb, just so y'all know. If y'all want to know what we're talking about, you got to listen to our Fair or Foul from a few episodes ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be at Riverside Convention Center. We're going to host lunch there. And then after the lunch, or during lunch, actually, this is not final yet, but it's, on the verge of being final. I have a really good friend of mine. His name is Johnny Wu. Johnny Wu is a magician. He does magic. You know, that's what a magician does, right? He actually just performed for Jamie Foxx and a few people. He's going to be doing magic and motivation type thing during the lunch break.
Boom. Which I know about that. Magic and motivation.
Magic and motivation. I should probably I need to coin that phrase.
We're taking this to the next level. Y'all just ain't listening.
Exactly. So he's going to do that at the lunch break. And then after that, we're going to go back to some more breakout sessions. And then to top the day off, we're actually going to have my man, Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher. Let me say that again. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher,
the
E.T., one of the number one motivational speakers in the world.
In the world,
okay. In the world, Craig.
In the world, Craig.
Top flight security of the world, Craig. So E.T. will be there, and he's actually going to close the conference out to re-emphasize why the work that every single one of the people that in the professions I mentioned, so law enforcement, education, and city government, why the work that they are doing matters.
Yeah.
Why it's needed.
Yeah.
And so E.T. is coming out, and that's I can't thank him enough for coming out for us. He's all over the place. He's all over the world. And so the mere fact that he's actually doing that is phenomenal. So that's kind of the run of show for that day. And before we talk about a few of those topics that we're going to have at that conference, if you guys are fans of our podcast, fans of our Instagram, whatever it may be, if you guys know anybody that is an expert in any of the fields I just mentioned, I'll mention them again: active shooter, risk management, organizational culture, restorative practices, anti-bullying, substance abuse amongst adolescents, and mental health. If you know anybody, if you or you know somebody that is an expert in one of those fields, please reach out to us if you would like to do a breakout session at our conference. We're going to open it up to you guys. This is your chance to be a part of something that's huge. We're going to take this. I truly believe, because this is God-given, I truly believe that this is going to be something that goes on the road. So,
oh my goodness, yeah, absolutely. Hey, and this is your chance. Like, how many times have you found yourself not having the opportunity or feeling like you haven't had the opportunity to do the good that you want to do? This is your chance.
So there is a cost to it, obviously. We do have early bird registration. And so if you want more information about that, just go on our website. It's breakingbarriersunited.com. Again, that's breakingbarriersunited.com. But here's a cool thing. I know that every single one of the professions I just mentioned, education, law enforcement, and the city officials, there's budgets that they all have that pay for training. This is considered training. So if you want to go to this, we'll give you the flyer. The flyer will be on our website. Take it to the people at your job and see if they'll sponsor you to come out with a few of you and your partners to come check out the conference. So, I know you may think, oh, I don't want to pay for this out of my own pocket. You can, but, take it to the people that you work for and see if they will endorse you coming out. I'm sure by just the names that are going to be speaking here, I'm sure this may be something that they want to pour into. So the tickets will be limited. I can tell you now, just by the names that we have that are going to be speaking here, the tickets are going to go fast.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to go very, very fast.
Oh, we selling out.
And there is limited space. Even though it's at the convention center, there's limited space for a purpose. And so I would hope that you guys jump on this. Again, it's August 1st, Riverside Convention Center, the It's Needed Conference. And so I want to transition and talk about some of the, me and AJ selected 3 of those topics that we're going to discuss at this conference. And we want to just talk about these issues on a whole and why they're so important. And so the first one is active shooters. So AJ, why do we need to prepare for active shooters now in society more than we ever have before?
I think it's clear, we live in a society where active shooters are prevalent, whether you're talking about a school or, we're talking about churches now, right? Like I go to church every Sunday, and when I go to church, I make sure to take my firearm. And it's not because my church is in a bad area or because bad people come to my church. It's just because there are just bad people in general. And we live in a society where active shooters are just so prevalent. We have to train for it. And not only that, but like, if you think about that, right? Like when people think about police officers, once again, I want to drive fast and I want to shoot guns. But there's a time where police officers have to be police officers, and this is one of them, right? And we're trained, if there's an active shooter, we show up, we wait for one more officer, and we're in there, right? Mm-hmm. So picture this, put yourself in our shoes, right? Active shooter, all right, I'm on the way, I'm first on scene. You hear gunshots inside of a building, whether it's a library, a church, a school, your heart's beating. Mm-hmm. There's someone in there that's actively taking lives or trying to take lives. Your backup shows in. You're going in there and you're doing what you got to do, right? Like, it's time to be the police. So let that soak in. And that's why it's so important. Like, people need to understand like how important of a topic this is, because it's never important until it is, right? And at that point, it's too late, right? Like, we need to talk about this before it happens. How many times have you seen people on the news where they say, you hear about this on the news, but never in my town, or never me. Look, let's prepare for it before we have to deal with it.
Exactly. And another thing, and I'm looking up, I'm going to find this comment because it was actually pretty funny. So recently on my Instagram page, I posted a picture. Here it is. So I posted a video of me at the range, just shooting my rifle and stuff like that. And so one of the comments was hilarious. He said, dang, he was like, laugh my butt off. Dang, cop training like he going to war. You just doing traffic stops, homie. Dang.
Nah.
So, and then my response to him was like, until I'm not.
Exactly.
And so, unfortunately, man, active shooters it's a thing that is occurring more often than not nowadays.
Yeah.
And it is so important for us to get educated about, actually going back to my man, Gordon Graham, he actually coined a phrase, active killer instead of active shooter.
Yeah.
And the reason I like the coin active killer is because a lot of times people just think an active shooter is somebody that comes on your campus with a gun.
Yeah.
An active killer is somebody that's actively trying to kill people, no matter what the means are. It can be a knife, a bomb, whatever it may be. That's really the correct term of an active shooter. Yeah. So active killer is just kind of more specific to that. And as a school resource officer, I've said this before, one of my biggest fears is that something on my campus happens and I'm not there to handle that situation, because every student that I have at my school, I treat them as if they're one of my own kids. For sure. And so there's a certain response that we need to have, that we need to train people to have. And it's not just at the school. This is at any workplace, like you said, a church, wherever it is. There's certain training that we need to have in order to overcome that threat. Unfortunately, the body, the way it's made is, if a threat like that presents itself, the body's naturally going to go into a fight or flight mode. Yeah. And if you've not rehearsed a situation like this in your head, most likely your body's going to go into a flight mode. Yep. And so the reason we want to talk about active shooter and teach about this topic of active shooter at our conference is because it's important. And I would hate that there will be lives lost because of lack of training. Yes. Training is something that we can control. Yep. I would hate that somebody lost their life because I didn't train enough.
Yeah. That's it.
And so there's really no excuses. And so, active shooters are huge. Another thing about active shooters is, we've been conditioned, what do you do if there's an earthquake?
A fall to the ground? I don't know, man. I'm from Ohio. We don't got no earthquake.
Well, yeah, they don't got that's right. I forgot. That's the wrong person to ask.
Hey, that's a good point, that's though. Because I don't train for it.
Exactly. He doesn't train for an earthquake. We train in earthquakes all the time here in California. We know if an earthquake happens, we've been trained and conditioned to get underneath our desk. That's what we do. We do earthquake drills. See? Get underneath the desk, lock the doors, or getting underneath a solid structure, usually like the door frame or something. That's how we train.
Oh, see? Yeah.
So naturally, if an active shooter were to happen right now, we go to what we know.
Yes.
So we would essentially hunker down underneath the desk.
Yes.
But that's really not what we should do.
Yes.
Because that's, in an active shooter, you want to find places of least of resistance. You want to maybe find an exit route. Barricade, if you have to hunker down, barricade doors, do whatever you got to do. But the natural inclination is, hey, get underneath the desk because I've been training for earthquakes.
Right.
And you assume that that's going to get you through this active shooter.
Right.
Same thing. If you're taught that you're on fire, what are you taught?
Stop, drop, and roll. Look, boom.
We can rehearse that.
That's it.
So unfortunately, with active shooters, those are things that we need to rehearse nowadays, and we need to be prepared for. So again, if you are somebody who trains active shooter, if you're somebody who deems yourself to be an expert, if you're somebody that if you're a teacher that wants to know how you can better prepare yourself for an active shooter, if you are a mayor of a city and you want to better prepare your city to be an active shooter, come to this conference. You will get the training that you need on this topic.
You name it, like somebody. And one last thing I'll say about this is, say you have a kid that's in school. Would you want your city or your city council or the mayor of your city or the police department or the principal to be prepared for an active shooter or to not be prepared for an active shooter? That's what it comes down to. Put your kid in a situation where his or her life might be at risk and it could be prevented by education. What would you want?
Wow. And that's why this conference is needed.
It's needed. Hey, it's more than a name.
Exactly. So the other topic that we're going to talk about is organizational culture.
Oh my goodness.
And this does not just go for law enforcement. There's a culture within education. There's a culture within city government. There's a culture within law enforcement. Yeah. right now I want to speak about culture within law enforcement because that's what we know. There's an internal culture and there's an external culture. And what I mean by that is the external culture of law enforcement, the society kind of views law enforcement, and some of it, view law enforcement as being this heroic profession, a noble profession. But there's also a portion of the community that view law enforcement as being this racist profession that's come from racial roots and everything like that. That is changing.
Yes.
On both coins. Obviously, it is a noble profession I like to consider, but it's becoming more noble by the day. There are moments in the United States history that I'm not proud of law enforcement, but I can tell you that it is tremendously evolving every day. The mere fact that you and I can do a podcast like this and talk about real issues involving law enforcement in the community is evidence that the culture is changing. But there's also an internal culture within the department that is also changing. And so, have you ever heard, and I know you have, this is a rhetorical question, but I'm asking you anyway, AJ, have you ever heard of the code or the phrase, the secret code,
or silence, or
the science, silence?
Not a lot of names for it, but yeah, I've heard it.
And tell me what your definition of that would be.
I think that a majority of people's definitions for that would be that if I see you, Officer Tillman, do something crazy, that I don't break the code of silence because I'm a law enforcement officer. And
unfortunately, if I said that does not exist or has not exist, I would probably be lying. Now, have I experienced the code of silence at my department? I have not personally experienced that. I have experienced people do bad things and those people get in trouble for the bad things that they've done, including myself. I've gotten complaints for doing things that, maybe I talked to somebody I shouldn't have, a certain way. And so that's what I'm saying. I cannot personally say I've actually seen the code of silence and attest to it. But I know through experience, and what I mean by experience, by, hearing cases where officers have been prosecuted because something got swept under the rug. That's how I know it exists.
Hey, I'm snitching. I'm snitching. Don't do nothing around me. I'm telling.
Hey, I got kids to feed.
What?
I got milk to put in the refrigerator. Listen, it ain't worth it.
You ain't taking money out of my pocket.
It ain't worth it.
You getting fired.
It ain't worth it.
Bro. See ya.
And so one of the cool things about changing organizational culture and what we're doing with our organization is we're changing perceptions of law enforcement on the daily.
Yes.
And so when you get people that were never accustomed to wanting but to be a police officer and now become a police officer, this organizational culture changes because now you have a shift of new type of officers. So I'm actually on Tuesday. I'm flying to Minnesota.
Look at him.
He
get that 10K. He missed a worldwide.
Ain't that a little son. I think my wife, she got the googly eyes for me. I still got the googly eyes for her. So I'm flying to Minnesota. I'm actually going to be talking to a lot of professionals within the law enforcement profession for Caliber Press. And one of the things I'm going to be talking about is organizational culture, but I'm also going to be talking about the generational gap between law enforcement officers.
Oh my goodness.
It is crazy, man. Like, you have the officers that are like, back in my day, we used to do things like this.
Listen.
And then we got this new generation is like, hey man, I'm all about the social media.
Listen.
And part of that is hurting our organizational culture because we don't understand each other.
Like, talk to them, right?
We don't understand each other. It's like me and my wife went to a marriage retreat back in the day, and this one guy said, you know what? Men often see things through black sunglasses. We hear things through black hearing aids, or not black. We see things through blue sunglasses. We hear things through blue hearing aids, and we understand things through a blue scope. Where women see things through pink sunglasses, they hear things through pink hearing aids, and see things through a pink scope. And what it means is it doesn't make our ideas wrong. We're just different. You know what I mean?
That's it.
And one thing I'll say, and I'll let you go, is this. I always remember this. He said, when my wife says that she doesn't have anything to wear, it usually means that she has nothing new to wear. When a man says I have nothing to wear, it probably means he doesn't have anything clean to wear. And so it doesn't make us wrong. It just makes us different. And so that's kind of what's going on right now in law enforcement is we have these two different cultures that are kind of seeing things differently. And so we want to talk about those differences and how it affects department morale, how we can boost department morale. What's your thoughts on that, AJ?
One of my biggest pet peeves is when I hear people talk about millennials. And listen to me. Listen to me before you turn the podcast off. Let me break that down. All right. Listen, the generation before you, I don't know who you are. I don't know what generation you are, what age group you are, but I guarantee you this. The generation that came before you thought that you were soft, thought that you were lazy, thought that you didn't deserve the attention that you get, thought you were hot stuff. Like, that's just life, right? Like, every generation thinks that the newer generation, it doesn't deserve to be who they are, or thinks that they need to learn the hard way, or thinks that they're soft. Listen, there are millennials out here that are doing great things, more than not. I mean, can we talk about social media in general, right? Like, millennials created the way that we talk and interact with people, and how we deliver goods and products and services. Like, the world is changing, and it's changing towards millennials, and we're the ones who are changing it. So we can't cross out millennials and say, well, you know, they need to learn what life is. The reality is you need to learn what life is, because the world is changing, and it's changing for millennials.
Man, and Gary Vee talks about this all the time. Gary Vaynerchuk. This stuff ain't going nowhere.
It's not.
And, go ahead.
I'm a millennial, right? And I don't want to say that I don't want to claim to be a millennial, but you know, I'm on the older age of millennials.
We would be classified as Zennials.
Oh, Zennials.
Zennials is a new where the Zennials are the age group between the Generation X and millennials.
Okay.
And the reason they call us Zennials is because we actually grew up playing outside.
Yeah.
We actually grew up actually seeing our parents use map books.
Yeah.
We grew up,
man.
you know, with MapQuest. We grew up with the green screen computers playing Oregon Trail.
Yeah. And Snake.
Yeah. But then we've also grew up within that time where we started getting social media, the MySpace.
Yep.
We were able to figure it out and navigate through it.
Yeah.
And so they talk about that middle group is actually really changing things like crazy, because we get the best of both worlds.
That's
in a sense. We get that hard work ethic from our parents and stuff like that, but we also have that new trend, that new school thought, like, hey, that new swag, that, hey, look, we can do different things a different way.
That's it. So I take back everything I said about millennials. Y'all lazy. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. But no, that's, in all honesty, like, that's exactly it. Like, you got to, like, relax. Like, the world is changing, and change isn't always bad. Like, you have to keep up. We have to keep up as police officers, right? Like, we have to keep up, especially me. Like, I need to keep up on the new dances, the new terms, like why people dress the way they do. Like, I don't wear skinny jeans, but I didn't understand, like, you know, wear skinny jeans. It is what it is. But
I wear some skinny jeans, but I'm just saying though.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I can't pull it off.
But you know what's funny is, so Billy, we need to quote this. We need to trademark this quote. One thing I've noticed since I've been doing my presentation, I'm sure you noticed it too, AJ, is there are people out there right now that want to be police officers. They just don't know it yet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we got to trademark that.
Oh my goodness.
There are people that want to be police officers. They just don't know it yet. Yeah. And they won't realize it until they see somebody like me or AJ that can show them this profession from a different light, from a millennial or Zennial standpoint.
Yes.
And they're like, man, I can actually see myself in that.
Listen, I had a kid at a school tell me, face to face, this kid had neck tattoos, face tattoos, hand tattoos, has been suspended multiple times. Like, you could tell this kid has had a rough life and does not like the police. He told me after a presentation, he goes, I never thought I would say this, but like, maybe I could be a cop.
Wow.
And you know what I hit him with? I said, there ain't no like maybe about it, man. Like you could definitely be a cop, and then you could show people, right?
Exactly.
Like, you could show people like, hey, don't define me based off the tattoos on my neck.
Exactly.
The tattoos on my face, the tattoos on my hand. Like, define me by what I'm doing out here, right? Like, the lives that I'm changing, the impact that I'm making. I'm like, hey, man, ooh, man, don't get me started.
I can't wait to this conference, because that's, again, just another segment of what we're going to talk about. And before we go long-winded on that one, the last thing I wanted to talk about is anti-bullying.
Okay.
You know, obviously these are just three that I selected from our breakout sessions, but these are three really, really important ones.
Yeah.
I'll speak on bullying just because I was just at A.B. Miller yesterday doing a bullying presentation, which was phenomenal, by the way.
Killed it.
It was funny because Billy's back there recording, and this was the first time I actually did the bullying presentation. And Billy was like, bro, like, you had me motivated back here. I was like, oh, did I? Was I motivated the savage? Got the juice. And so, and me and AJ had a conversation yesterday about bullying. Yeah. And one unfortunate reality that we have to realize when it comes to bullying, and this is for all of my teenagers out there that are listening, bullying is not going anywhere.
Listen.
We cannot prevent bullies.
Yep.
is just a part of life. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, human nature being what it is,
Yep.
us being, born into sin,
Yep.
people are going to bully you. And it doesn't just stop when you get out of high school. It will continue when you get into college, when you get your job, whatever it may be. So my philosophies on bullying, and this is how we combat bullying, is it's an internal decision that you have to make as an individual to learn how to develop that confidence. So when that bully starts to bully you, you can realize that you have enough self-respect for yourself to know that whatever they say, it can't affect who you are.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I know, and I know this to be a fact, is that when you let somebody, what somebody says about you or what somebody does to you, when you let that affect the way you think about yourself, you have now relinquished power over that person. That person now has power over you.
Yep.
And so what I want to convey in bullying is that I want to teach you, AJ wants to teach you, other people out there want to teach you how to get that confidence internally, so that way you don't let the external affect how you deal with bullying.
That's it. Listen, you couldn't be more correct. There are bad people in the world. They're not going anywhere. Your best bet is to figure out how to deal with it, how to move on, how to take that negative, turn it into a positive, and then turn that positive into motivation and keep it pushing. Listen, I love nothing more than when somebody tries to bully me. I love nothing more, because you know what that tells? It tells me two things. All right. The first thing it tells me is I'm making waves, right? Like I'm getting your attention enough to where you're emotionally involved enough to come at me in a negative way. And the second thing that tells me, I ain't done yet. I ain't done yet.
So there's a situation. I brought this up in the presentation yesterday, and I'm a transparent guy. And if I didn't say this, I would feel convicted, because that's what this podcast is for.
Yeah.
There was a situation a few years ago where I actually received an award, a pretty prestigious award for what I do. There were people that basically talked behind my back about me receiving that award.
Man.
People that said I didn't deserve the award. People that said, I didn't really do anything for the award.
Yeah.
And when I received the award, there were people that told me when I received it that I had the look on my face that I wasn't excited.
Yeah.
And I denied it initially. I was like, oh, no, I was excited, which I really was. But they can see on my face that.
And think about that. I don't mean to cut you off, but think about that. There are so many haters out there that you have to mask being excited for something that you earned, because you're afraid of how it's going to look or what they're going to say. How crazy is that?
So and that's what I was getting to.
Listen.
So I'm sitting up on the stage, and in my mind, I was upset. Didn't know how to feel how people were going to look at me because I received this award.
Yep.
And I told myself, I will never again do that to myself.
Yep.
I robbed myself of an opportunity that I may not ever get back.
Yep.
Because I gave those people power over my life because of what their opinion was of me.
Listen.
E.T. said something to me, or not to me, but to the world, that just stood out to me. He was like, why are you listening to people's opinions who probably aren't even average?
That's it.
And I'm not to say that those people that were talking about me, they do phenomenal work. They're really good at what they do. But my point in all of this is, what I'm saying is that I can't allow somebody's opinion of me to affect me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They robbed me. They robbed me because I bought into what they were saying.
Yes.
I gave them power over my life.
Yes.
If I can redo that day, I would stand on that stage with a smile on my face, knowing that. And what's funny is because I had already knew. My dad always told me haters are gonna hate, Ryan. So I had already knew.
Hey.
But that was the first time that I actually had to deal with it.
Yes.
At that level.
Yes.
And so that's why I tell all the kids I talk to is like, don't ever give anybody that power over your life.
Ever.
You got the confidence within you to change the world. Don't ever buy into what people tell you that you're not, or who you are, or who you can't be.
Yep.
Because you can go out and do it. Some of the most important people in this world that have changed this world for the best. Yep. Martin Luther King, you name it. People talked about them, and look what they did, like you said.
Hey, they hated Jesus, man.
And he died.
They hated Jesus.
They crucified him.
Come on now.
They crucified him.
Listen, Kanye said it. Kanye said there will always be haters. That's the way it is. Hater dudes marry hater chicks and have hater kids. Like,
exactly.
Hey, listen,
exactly.
They not going nowhere.
Exactly. So this bullying workshop that we're going to have for teachers, educators, these are topics that we'll be able to discuss, so that way you guys can learn how to bring these topics to your school, how to help the kids at your school. I recently had, before we transition, where are we at on time right now, Billy? 49. Okay, so I recently had a situation where one of the students from my bullying presentation reached out to me the same day that I actually did that presentation, and basically told me that they were being bullied.
Yeah.
told me the whole situation, gave me the whole breakdown of why they were being bullied, what was going on,
Right.
how they're in fear. And the coolest thing about this situation, and obviously it's not cool that she's being bullied or he's being bullied. The coolest thing about it was the mere fact that they had enough trust and confidence in what we're doing as an organization to reach out to us and to help them develop that confidence that we speak of.
Literally.
So that way they can combat the bullying that's going on at their campus.
Literally.
That's why what we doing is needed.
Yes.
Man.
And you literally took the words out of my mouth. Like, I can't help but think of the conference call and the group text that we were all on and participated in prior to coming up with the name of the podcast. And we had like all these names, and we couldn't stop thinking like, okay, well, what's the name mean? What's the name mean? And Ryan hit us up one day and he goes, I got it. He goes, I got it. It's needed. And as soon as you said it, I was just like, bro, that's it. That's it. Because what we are doing has to be more than like a name, right? Like the name of the podcast, the name of the conference has to be more than a name. And that's exactly it. Like, everything that we're doing is needed. Like, we're not doing nothing for followers. We're not doing nothing for clout. We're not doing anything for whatever attention you may think we're doing it. We're doing it because of that, right?
Exactly.
Like, you're reaching students who are open and willing enough to reach out to you, a police officer who they may not have trusted prior to you coming in their lives and saying, hey, look, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm dealing with. Like, hey, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, this is bigger than us. This is much bigger than us, right? Like, we have platforms, we have voices for a reason, and use them for the good, right? And you know, we talked about this yesterday. There are a lot of people out here who are doing the right things, but for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh man.
And you know who you are.
Yes, you do.
If you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this, you know who you are. Like I applaud you for doing the right thing. But if you're not doing it for the right reason, that light will shine down.
And the other thing I want to say on that too is not to call them out, but call people out. But if you are one of those people that are doing the things for the wrong reasons, your message may be good.
Yeah.
But what's your life look like as well?
That's it. And people see through that. People see through that. You know what I mean? And we'll go back to what we talked about earlier with the Smollett thing. Like that makes me think, like, who are you as a person? You know what I mean? Like, who are you as a person? So we'll just hypothetically say Smollett stands up for racial indiscrimination, right? But when you do things like that, it makes me think, like, well, do you really?
Exactly. Are you really doing? Are you using that as your platform to get the following? But realistically, your intentions are different.
That's it.
There's a story I'm gonna leave you guys. Do you have a fair foul today?
You know, we talked about it yesterday, but I forgot what it was.
I forgot what it was too. I'm about to think about it right now.
Fair foul right now. Should Billy be sitting on this little blue seat?
Oh,
we're going to post a picture. I need a fair foul. We're going to talk about it here in a minute. But
I feel kind of bad now. You make me feel like I'm in a sweatshop.
Listen.
To continue the conversation about the work we're doing that's needed. So a lot of our following are police officers. A lot of our following are people that want to become police officer. A lot of our following are people that have no aspirations of becoming police officers. But this one is specifically for the officers out there right now. There are officers right now that are stagnant with your profession because you didn't get the promotion that you wanted.
Right.
There are officers right now that are stagnant because things are changing at your department that you really don't like to see.
Yeah.
There are officers that are stagnant right now because you think that you should be doing something more than what they're allowing you to do.
Yeah.
Yesterday or 2 days ago, my department held an award ceremony for our annual award ceremony where people get awards. A really good friend of mine actually received a life-saving award for a gentleman where he responded to a gym in our city and actually gave him CPR, put the what's the thing called on you? The
EKG.
The drawing a blank right
AED.
now. The AED. He puts the AED on, which is something we train for.
Yep.
He put the AED on, and actually the guy was literally dead.
Yeah.
Didn't have a pulse, wasn't breathing, nothing like that. He put the AED on. They shocked him. He got his pulse back. Fire department showed up. They got him to the hospital. The dude lived. And so what the craziest part about it is at the award ceremony, my buddy didn't know this was going to happen. They gave him his life-saving award, but that guy was there.
Oh man.
With his family.
Man.
And they hugged and cried.
Oh my goodness!
And at all the awards that happened at my department award ceremony, which were all really cool, that was probably one of the coolest ones because the work that my buddy did on that day was needed for that family.
Yeah.
And that family cried. That family had their dad with them at that award ceremony, who at one time had literally passed away. So we don't realize that miracles happen every day.
Every day.
And the work that teachers that are doing right now, the work that city government officials are doing right now, the work that police officers that are doing right now, the work that janitors are doing right now. I don't care what it is that you do in life. I don't care where you're at in your life. The work that you do is needed.
Yeah.
And that's why we would love for you guys to come to our conference, because we want to show you how you can do the work that you're doing better.
Yes.
We want to show you how you can impact lives better.
Yes.
And the most important thing we want to do is we want to reemphasize that the work that you guys do is needed.
It's needed. Listen,
so, man,
we can talk about it all day.
Oh,
we can
man.
talk about it all day. When
man.
it comes down to the nitty gritty, listen, this ain't no fluff type training. This ain't no, hey, look at the certificate I got. This ain't no, hey, look at the conference I got. Look who I got to meet. This is a conference where you will literally walk away with information that will allow you to potentially save someone's life.
Man.
Point blank period.
There it is. I really wanted to do a fair foul today. I can't even remember what the fair foul was, though. That was, man.
I forget either, but what y'all don't see is Billy is still sitting on his seat, y'all.
He is sitting on that seat.
Pray for Billy's seat, y'all. Just pray for it.
So we about to go ball here in a minute. I think I told you that like I said, we're going to be with Trick Shot Cop for a little bit.
Yeah, hey, first, that's our fair or foul. Like, hey, Ryan hit me up. Like, hey, we gonna play basketball when you get here. I'm like, all right, bet. He's like, yeah, this guy Trick Shot Cop. I'm like, huh? Man, listen, this dude is doing like half court backwards shots and they going in, and he want me to go play basketball with this dude. Like,
hey, we gotta, you know what would be funny is we'll make sure like he does his trick shot, and then we're gonna follow it with our trick shot.
I'm swatting it. I'm swatting it. As soon as get that out of here.
Hey, so you know what? Hey guys, this podcast is being brought to you guys by Breaking Barriers United. Without you guys, we would be nothing. So we really appreciate it. Again, I want to thank Noah Sapopo, AJ for coming out. Again, Savage, thank you for always the work that you guys do. Some of the questions that we've gotten recently before we break. What's funny is, so one of the main questions I get all the time is, what is your guys' tattoo policy like? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, bro, it's not that big a deal. If you cover up your tattoos, it's not that big a deal. But it was recently that somebody brought it to my attention that there are agencies out there across the country that if you have a sleeve, they will not hire you, even if you cover it up. And so forgive me, guys. I did not mean to make it seem like it's not that big of a deal. Back here where I'm at in California, it really isn't that big of a deal. So my best advice on that is do your education when it comes to the department. Talk to people that work for that department and get information for that department. One other thing that I'm so glad I remember this, because I promised a girl that I was going to bring it up on the next episode of the podcast. The last episode of the podcast we were talking to Ashley, who killed it on the Titan game. She actually just got disqualified this past week, but she was a beast.
Oh yeah.
What she did was just ridiculous. So shout out to her. But I want to say sorry to our viewers and our audience members, or our viewers and listeners, because one of the things that I said was, what do I do to prepare for the physical agility test? And I said, just work out. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize in my mind, because I've always been an athlete in my mind,
right?
I kind of just got kind of like the theory with the mountains,
right?
What you brought up earlier,
right?
I'm so used to the mountains that I don't even realize they're there. I'm so used to just being an athlete that in my mind, it's easy to work out. It's easy to just go to the gym. If somebody tells me to go work out, I can go in the gym today and work out and just do it, no problem.
Yeah.
Not even realizing that that's not the case for a lot of our listeners out there that want to become police officers. And so forgive me for downplaying the whole part of your physical agility. There is a lot that goes into it. And if you're not somebody that's accustomed to working out, what I would recommend to you is go to your gym or go to somebody that you look at as being in shape and ask for advice. Ask them, what they recommend to get you on a plan, because you do need a plan.
Yeah.
If you go in the gym without a plan, you're not going to be able to accomplish anything.
Yep.
I will tell you, to get back to my original point, that if you do start working on your cardio, going out and running, doing things like that, it will help you tremendously.
Yeah.
Don't go out your first day and try to run 2 miles or a 5K,
right? Because
you will get so discouraged that you won't do it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do, because I am not the most in shape person as you guys may think I am, when I wasn't working out for a while, I actually just got on the treadmill and just ran like a lap or two.
Yeah.
And then I would increase that, every 2 or 3 days. I would get up to 3 laps, 4 laps, and then next thing I know, I start running more miles.
Yeah.
But you can't run before you walk. You gotta walk first. And so go ahead.
And don't train for the minimum.
Yes.
Listen, like if you have to do 50 sit-ups, don't train to do 50 sit-ups. train to do 60 or 70, right? If you have to run 1.5 miles in 11 minutes, cut that time, right? Like make sure you are not worried when it comes time to meet these standards. You're like, you know what? I could do X amount of sit-ups. I could do X amount of push-ups. I could run this fast. Like, get after it. And look, there's no easy way. There's no easy way to meet these qualifications or to get in the gym. Don't leave the gym until you're covered in sweat, until your shirt is soaked in sweat,
Exactly.
right? Like, be mentally tough.
Exactly. So the fair or foul is it fair that I just told our listeners to just work out? I'm gonna have to call that's foul. I shouldn't have told y'all that y'all should just work out. I should have gave you guys a little bit more of an explanation. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go fair. It's fair.
Okay.
I'm gonna go fair. I'm a fair. Because listen,
Okay.
we're talking about becoming a police officer.
Okay.
All right. First off, you gotta have thick skin. All right. You weren't lying.
I wasn't.
Just work out, right?
I wasn't.
You just came off a little rough. And the second thing is, like, when it comes down to it, just work out. Get in there. Go get in the gym. Work up that sweat.
Ooh, see, that's why I love this podcast.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've actually been able to we actually disagreed on the fair or foul thing.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I love this podcast. That's why what we do is needed, you guys. Hey, please, if you guys really love the content that we're putting out, please reshare our stuff. I'm not, trying to, hoard all of our content. If you guys, we have so many people that say, hey, we love the content, reshare our stuff. Yeah. Reshare it. Please leave a comment on the iTunes or Apple iTunes or Spotify, whatever you guys listen to our podcast. Yeah. Leave comments. We like to hear the feedback. That's what helps us grow as an organization. Yeah. But again, we would not be anything without our listeners and our viewers. So thank you. You got any closing words, AJ?
Hey, do something today. You listening to this podcast, I challenge you to do something today. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you at. Do something good for somebody.
That's it. So we're going to take it out on that wrap. Hey, guys, August 1st, Riverside Convention Center, the It's Needed Conference. If you want to be there, go onto our Instagram page, go onto our website, breakingbarriersunited.com. Get that information. Come see me and AJ and the Savage live. That's where we will be doing. We may even do a live podcast. We'll see. We might have to do a special.
We got a couple things.
We might have to do a live podcast.
We can't give them all
away.
Hey,
get there, be square, guys. We love you guys. Take care, and God bless you. Take care.
Peace.